That was the painful way I discovered. It is not pronounced Sam Hain. For those just tuning in, you're listening to Necro Radio. Welcome to Necro Radio. I'm your host. Your ghost. Comedy. DJ Drybones. It's Halloween. Or All Hallows Eve, as those Christians I want to call it. The time of year where the veil that parts our worlds is at its most thin. Where the living and the dead can connect. And you can finally discover if Grandma's secret casserole recipe really was just off the side of a cornflakes box. This is a special day for us here at Necro Radio. It's the easiest time of the year for our live ones out there to tune in, and not just those with a pulse deficiency. So if you're out there and you're hearing this, and your hearts are thumping still, good for you. And also, here's a sneak peek at all you have to look forward to after you croak. It's not very pretty, spoiler alert. Tonight, we'll pop open one of my favorite cassette drawers, filled with the stories reserved especially for this festering festive season. Let me see here. Speaking of Sam Hain, here's one of my personal favorites. You've heard the stories of the true meaning of other holidays, like what's the deal with that fat man and his big sack? But what about the true meaning of Halloween? This story is called The Spirit of the Season.
Remember Halloween as a kid? No supervision. Dragging your pillowcase across town with your friends. The faces of whatever latest cartoon obsession you had on it distorted by the sticks and boxes bulging from within. The lights of the streets. The bustle of kids heading in the opposite direction, exclaiming that the house at the end of the block was giving out king-size bars. Gone are those days, it would seem. Every year the streets seem more and more empty. As a kid, I'd promised myself I'd grow up to be that king-size kind of house. I upheld my promise, but in the end, I'd be stuck with 9/10 of a box and the dilemma of what the hell to do with all that chocolate I don't eat anymore. So this year, I did away with it all. No candy, no decorations. I just kill the lights and watch an old horror movie with the blinds shut. Pretend to not be at home. Yep, I'd turn into the asshole house. The trick house we'd return to post-trick-or-treating to toilet paper or toss a couple of eggs at. But the kids don't even do that anymore, so what do I have to lose? It was already well past 9 when I drove into my neighborhood. My house is set on the corner of a cross street. It was the only darkened house on the block, unlit and undecorated. I pull into my driveway, opening the garage and parking in it as quickly as possible, trying to avoid any neighbors seeing that I was home. Storm clouds had begun to roll in, the addition of rain ensuring even less people would be out and about. I enter my house through the garage door, drop my bag on the counter, and head straight to the fridge, a cold beer calling my name. My wife left a little note on the whiteboard magnetized to the fridge door. She was having to work late shifts for the remainder of the year in anticipation of the holidays. "Hi, Finn," it read. "Be home a little after midnight." I hated not having any decorations out, so I bought a lonely pumpkin and carved a quick dumb face in it. It's on the front porch. Put a light in it if you want. Love you. Happy Halloween. It made me smile. She knew how much Halloween had always meant to me, even though she couldn't care less about it. So her making a little gesture meant a lot. But then I thought, hold on, any amount of decoration could draw unwanted trick-or-treaters to the door. I rush to the front entrance of the house and peek out the window next to it. Sparse amounts of kids being mushed along like dogs by helicopter parents were out. I was waiting for an opening of a clear street to extract the pumpkin from the porch. I couldn't help but feel a tinge of regret and sadness at noticing all my neighbors' houses lit up with dim orange, purples, and greens, the lit jack-o'-lanterns lining the porches, the ghosts hanging from trees, and my bare, dark lawn and house. The only one on my block, it would seem. A little cowboy and his overseer, under an umbrella, rounded the block out of sight, prompting my quick grab of the pumpkin. I shut the door and shifted it in my hands, chuckling at the terribly carved face in it before setting it on the end table next to the sofa. I check that all the blinds facing the street are closed as the light sprinkle of rain begins to fall heavy on the window panes. After retrieving my cold drink, I grab the remote and sink into my cozy chair in the corner of the living room. I cycle through different streaming services, perusing what horror films they have before finding the perfect choice. George A. Romero's all-time classic, Night of the Living Dead. I settle in, smiling to myself. That's when I hear the first knock. I pause the movie and sink further down in my chair, as if that will protect me from being found out. I wait for them to leave. I take as silent of a swig from my drink as I can, slowly, and think, take the hint, kid. I leap from my chair. What little punk? I place my drink at the foot of my chair, storm to the front door, and fling it open to find no one. The rain falls steadily, the block very thinly populated with people. Small groups of 2 or 3 kids ushered by a parent. I look around the yard, expecting to see a couple of kids running in any direction into the night. But there are none. I begin to close the door when something odd draws my eye. A lone trick-or-treater, across the street and about 2 doors further out. They are dressed in what looked like a dirty off-white sheet, adorned with different florals and trinkets, and a crown with antlers to top it all off. And they're just staring directly at me. I close the door quickly and think to myself, yeah, that's actually a pretty dope costume. Hopefully they don't come this way, though. I walk back to my chair and accidentally kick my beer over. I pick it up quickly, hoping not too much had spilled, and shuffle to the kitchen to grab a rag, trying not to turn any lights on, navigating in the dark, guided only by my knowledge of the layout of my house. I grab a rag from the oven handle and figure, hey, while I'm already in here, I'll make some popcorn to go with the movie. I pull a bag from the cupboard and put it in the microwave. While it pops, I walk back to my chair and begin wiping up the spill. I'll probably need another drink. Turns out I had spilled most of it. And that's when the knocking started again. I freeze in my crouched position and look toward the door. It's the same pattern of knocking. I stay low and begin to creep over to the window. I pull the blinds down and peek out, trying to see around to the front porch, but instead, I see that lone trick-or-treater. They're directly across the street now, and just staring at my house. It's weird, not sure how they had knocked and then got back there so quickly. If it even was them. But they were looking right at me when I'd opened the door earlier, so they must know that I'm home. I opened the door and confirmed that there is no one else. A few groups down different sides of the block, but no one else on my street at the moment. I call out to them.
Look, pal, I'm sorry, but I don't have anything for you. Happy Halloween, though.
They remain motionless, just staring. I nod slowly to myself, raising a hand in a slight wave, and then close the door. I begin to walk back to the kitchen, grabbing another drink from the fridge and lean against the counter, watching the timer on the microwave count down. When it's finally done, I pour the popcorn in a bowl and return to my chair. I start the movie back up and chug what remained of my first drink, and then the doorbell went off. I could hear kids chatting excitedly to each other from the other side of the door. With it obviously being new kids, I turn the volume lower and wait again for them to leave. They ring again. I hear one of them say,
I just saw him go back inside.
I groan and rise from my chair, walk to the front door and open it. A group of 3 kids, maybe 10 or so, were standing there grouped under an umbrella. A pirate, a vampire, and some kind of Power Ranger looking thing. Trick or treat, they said. Sorry, guys, I don't have anything for you. Happy Halloween, though. That's when I see past them, standing on the sidewalk at the end of my walkway, that lone kid again. Just staring at me. And you, buddy, I called out to him. I already told you, I got nothing. Please, just move on. The kids look over their shoulders where I was calling to and exchange glances, then walk down my steps and across my lawn toward my neighbor's house. The loner stayed on the sidewalk, staring at me. I mean it, kid, I call out one last time before shutting the door. I hoped to myself that I was loud enough that it would deter any other groups of kids who saw me from approaching the house. I pulled the blinds down. They're still standing there. I find myself starting to get angry. I really don't want to have to cuss a kid out, but I am also fully prepared to. I go back to my chair just in time for the iconic line.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
I sit back and shove a handful of popcorn into my mouth. The bowl of popcorn scatters in all directions as I jump in my chair. I leap to my feet in anger. Son of a bitch! I storm to the door and fling it open, staring down at the lone trick-or-treater. Before I can even begin my string of profanity, they lunge forward at me. I stumble back into the house and fall to the floor. I stare out the door, to the empty porch. Beyond it, rain falls in sheets. Did they just come into the house? I look around. The house is dark, silent. My heart's pounding. What just happened? I climb to my feet and slowly close the door, taking quick glances in each direction to spot the kid. I try to steady my heart rate and cautiously walk back to the chair. Still looking around, the room lit only from the TV, casting off white light and flickering motions. And then suddenly, I hear the floor above my head creak. Footsteps. The cozy Halloween feeling is gone, replaced now by pure dread. This kid is in my house. You got 5 seconds to get out of this house before I call the cops, I yell out. I wait, holding my breath and listening. There's a creak on the staircase. They are coming down the stairs, down the hall. And then a breath in my ear. I jerk away and yelp like a child. I throw myself against the wall and see that they are inexplicably standing right next to me. It begins to whisper incoherently. It stares at me and cocks its head to the side, quizzically. I am frozen with fear, pressed against that entryway wall, like a drowning man clinging to a life raft. I watch as this thing grows taller, to my height, accompanied by horrible pops and cracks. It takes a step toward me and begins to reach out, and I finally find my will to run and bolt aimlessly away from it. I slip midway through the living room on my second spilled drink, falling face first into the corner of the archway. A flash of stars paired with a sharp pain on my right brow, where the majority of contact is made. Somehow I manage to stay standing, propped against the wall, and half turned back to look at my intruder. They are floating toward me. I feel warmth trickle and my right eye suddenly sees red. My flight instinct continues, and I run down the hall, wiping blood from my eye and swing myself around the stair post, taking the stairs 3 at a time with Olympic speed, refusing to look back again. I race toward the furthest room down the upstairs hallway, the guest room, fling the door open and slam it shut, locking it. I slide on my stomach under the bed and hide. My heart jackhammers in my chest, my stomach in knots, sweat and blood on my brow. My thoughts race, I can't organize them. I try to get my breathing under control, and I settle on following through with my threat, calling the police. I pat my front pocket. My cell phone isn't there. It's down on the side table next to the armchair, and we don't have landlines in my home. I realize I'm going to have to go back down there and get it. My attention turns back to the warmth of blood trickling down my face. I press my right palm against my brow and wince in pain. I try to think about what I'm dealing with. This is nothing human. This thing grew in size. It materialized right next to me. I couldn't comprehend it. I don't believe in ghosts. That stuff it's not real. Yet I couldn't deny what I'd seen. It was floating in the air toward me. If it was a spirit, what did it want? Why did it pick me? My thoughts are interrupted by floorboards creaking out in the hall. I hold my breath and freeze. The creaking is getting closer to the room. I suddenly realize how stupid it was to run upstairs away from all the exits of my house, and I can't think of what to do. The creaking is getting closer, and then the door opens slowly. It enters the room. I can only see the bottom half of this thing from my vantage under the bed. It's illuminated only by the moonlight spilling in from the window. I see the bottom of the sheets it wore, and both of its shriveled, bony feet floating inches off the ground. It glides slowly around the room. The floorboards creak under no weight. Its breathing is erratic. It's looking for me. The moments drag for what feels like eternity. I lay on my stomach, still as a statue. My right palm holding back blood from my head and my left holding back screams from my mouth. It stops next to the bed. Its feet spin toward me, indicating it's staring right above me. My heart feels ready to escape my body. My stomach sinks into itself. I pray to anything listening. Then, the feet rotate away from me to face the door and it glides out of the room, the door slowly closing behind it. I listen for the creaks retreating further down the hall. I allow myself to recover my breaths as quietly as I can. Hopefully it would just leave, as easily as it had come in. I blink, and it's under the bed with me, lying right beside me, a withered hand inches from my face. I scream an unearthly howl and kick myself from under the bed, slamming the bedside table with my back. A lamp falls and shatters on my shoulder. I roll to my feet and speed towards the door, not even reaching for the doorknob. I put a shoulder into it, and with my momentum, it rips through the frame, hanging off its hinges. I stumble through and run back down the stairs, clearing the last 5 steps with a jump. I round the hall into the living room, leaping over where I'd slipped, and reach for the front door. I grab the handle and throw it open, and I'm face to face with my intruder, lunging towards me. I fall back, overturning the end table, my wife's pumpkin bouncing off the wood floor. The thing is reaching out at me, whispering to itself, its body popping underneath the sheet, the antlers adorning it, dancing as it twists its head erratically underneath it. I don't know what to do. I can't breathe. I crawl backward away and my elbow knocks the pumpkin, spinning it at my side. Put a light in it if you want. That thought rings out clear in my head for some reason. I look at the pumpkin. It's toppling a foot further. A dopey, lopsided face smiles up at me. Matches. Matches in the kitchen junk drawer. I look back at the spirit. It's leaning over me, its hands splayed out, engulfing my vision. I roll sideways into the coffee table and rise to my feet, half underneath it, toppling it. I leap over it and slide down the hall, veering into the kitchen. I can hear it in pursuit of me. I round the counter island that divides the room and almost rip the junk drawer off its rails. I toss through its contents, searching in the moonlight for my matchbook savior. My fingers feel a familiar shape beneath it all, and I pull the matchbook to my face before my eyes adjust to the intruder standing just beyond it, growling inhumanly. I bolt again to the other side of the island, buying room to circle around and exit the kitchen. I race through the hall, sliding successfully through the puddle by the armchair and drop to my knees, cradling the pumpkin in my arms. I pull a match from the book and begin to strike the head on the phosphorus strip, glancing up at the archway into the hall. My intruder has not shown itself yet. The match catches flame and I lower it into the pumpkin to light a wick that isn't there. My brain freezes. Why hadn't I thought about there not being a candle in it? I look from the pumpkin up to the archway, just as this thing enters the room, floating slowly, almost too slow, like it already knows it's won and it's smugly flaunting it. Defeat sets in, like dried concrete. I watch past my pathetic flame at the intruder as it looms over me, its bony fingers stretching toward my face. I look down at the dwindling match in my fingertips, and then bring the matchbook in my other hand up to meet it. I touch the lit match to its unused counterparts, and the match inflames in my hand, singeing the hairs of my knuckles. I drop the flaming book into the pumpkin. Light flares out, illuminating the dark room in a golden glow. The intruder shrieks as the dirtied white shrouds encompassing it flare upward and outward in all directions, revealing a withered, dry husk of a body beneath it. Its hands retreat and claw at its face. Its jaw gaping as ungodly howls come from deep within, growing in volume until the matchbook goes out in a whisper, ushering silence. And I'm alone, kneeling in a moonlit room, holding a smoking pumpkin out in front of me. I pant, afraid to move, my eyes flicking around the room. The TV is rolling credits. The only sound is rain on the window pane. Is it really over? I rise to one knee, and then to both feet, the pumpkin still held at arm's length. My guardian gourd. My legs feel like jelly. I finally step to the wall of the room and flick the light switch there. Cool white lights flood the empty room. I look down at the pumpkin as the last of the smoke dissipates. The clock on the wall reads about a half hour till midnight. My wife would be home soon. But there was no way I was going to leave this unlit for the rest of the night. Not after understanding its power. I bring it with me to the bathroom first to address my wound. Looking at it in the mirror, I don't think stitches are necessary. I grab the first aid kit from under the sink and place a butterfly bandage over the cut. Then I carry the pumpkin to the kitchen and rummage through the junk drawer. It just so happens to have a tea light in it. No idea why, but fortunate nonetheless. I flip its power switch and see its emulated flame flickering, and feel even more at ease as I place it inside the bottom of the pumpkin. The face is half caved from all the night's commotion, but it'll do. I walk it to the front door, grabbing its top of the broken stem off the floor and returning it to its position. Perfect. I opened the front door. The rain was falling softer but steadily still. The streets seem empty now, as was usual this time of night. I thought of how my wife had probably saved my life with her kind gesture and wondered what I would tell her as I placed the jack-o'-lantern on the porch and tenderly turned it to face the street. I also think about how I was going to clean the place up in time before she got home. I turned a step back in the house and am met with the antlered spirit in the door frame. It shoots its withered palm toward me and strikes me right between the eyes. The force sends me backwards off the steps of the porch and I land on my back, the air knocked from my lungs. I groan on the concrete, my eyes pinched shut in pain. After a moment, I first noticed the silence. The rain had stopped. I opened my eyes to see it had been replaced with a thick, uncanny fog. I look up at my front porch and see the door is shut. But my eyes are drawn from that to my wife's jack-o'-lantern, smiling at me, the faux candlelight flickering within, and I feel confused. Like I can't gather my thoughts or where I am. I have to turn away from it. My predicament only then returns. About this thing in my house, alone now, and I need to find help. I look around the silent neighborhood before I notice a group of adults standing in a circle at the cross-section of my street. I push myself to my feet and call out to them. Hey, help! I need some help! They don't turn, so I jog towards them and shout. Do any of you have a phone? Can you call the cops? They still don't turn to face me. It's only when I'm about to touch one of their arms that I realize most of them are softly sobbing. They're all dressed in different period clothing. Some that look turn of the 20th century, some from the late 60s or 70s. Some had grievous wounds. Wounds that could not have been something you could recover from. That dread rises up from within again. These are all spirits. My arm remains outstretched, but I'm frozen in place. The crying man I had reached out to tap only then began to notice me. He's dressed in overalls and an old patty cap, and the entire bottom of his face is gone, replaced with hanging sinew and a tongue that drools from his throat. My body wants to scream, but instead it manifests internally, and I feel my legs begin to give out from underneath me. I stumble backwards away from the group and run towards my neighbor's house directly across the street. A hanging ghost decoration from his oak tree catches my eye and lures me towards it. My fear melts to a confusion about where I'm standing and why. I shake it free and proceed past the tree to their pumpkin-lined porch steps. Each face that stares back melds into something far more frightening. All thoughts of the last few minutes are replaced with an urge to flee that yard. I try the next house down, mentally grasping the last vestiges of those thoughts of my situation as I approach their door. The faces that guard its entrance warp and twist out at me, and I fall back towards the street, clawing my way along the asphalt back to the safety of my yard. I tried to look up at my front door, but I am met with a golden face of judgment, and all thought melts away. I feel the urge to move on. A confusion of where I am and even who I am begins to sink in. I shuffle toward the sobbing circle in the street, my palms pressing the sides of my head. I pull at my hair in anger at this crippling confusion. I sit on the curb near the spirits and focus all my energy on retrieving a thought, a singular thought that's on the verge of being shredded. Suddenly, the spirits begin floating off in all different directions, the sobbing reaching a crescendo. I notice that a darkness was engulfing the streets. The houses lining them are gobbled up in it one by one as it approaches me. I look ahead of me to the house on the corner. My house. And the thoughts are pulled from oblivion. My wife! I'm not supposed to be here! The darkness swallows up my home and then it surrounds me, and I'm alone. Nothing around me is discernible. Just an oily darkness. It churns into itself like a thick fluid. I put my head in my hands. There has to be a way back. I won't give up on finding that way. My wife needs me. My heart sinks at that. My wife, I think. If I was here, wherever here is, then what would be waiting for her when she gets back home?
Now you might be thinking, what in the Sam Hain was that? That was scary. If you take nothing else away from that frightful fable this Halloween, just remember this. These infantile traditions played out for sweets have roots in things beyond all human comprehension. So by all means, don't stop the decorating of your homes or the costuming of your persons. There's a reason folks started these practices. Now, to all our mortal mooks out there listening, don't be concerned if you lose our signal. Hey, it happens. I'm sure you'll find us here at Necro Radio again real soon. One way or the other. Hey, speaking of signals, I've been getting these mixed ones from this broad I met on this website, Plenty of Flesh. She's always on and on about...